you. The Plastic Surgery Clinic of Cleveland offers the convenience of Visa, MasterCard, and Discover and has financing options available. Call for your consultation today with Dr. Michael Hoops and the Plastic Surgery Clinic of Cleveland, 472-1996, or visit hoopsplasticsurgery.com.
Ah, the sounds of summer. If you had a pool, from Matthews Pool and Spa Company, 902 Sahara Drive in Cleveland, Tennessee. Call them at 423-476-4521 and get the pool or spa of your dreams. Do it now, Cleveland. Locally owned and operated for over 25 years right here in Cleveland, Tennessee, with over 75 years of total experience in the installation of pools and spas. So check out Matthews Pool and Spa for your new pool, spa, or any accessories you may need for a pool or spa you already have. Check them out here in Cleveland on Sahara Drive, 476-4521. Look out, kids, I'm gonna jump. Woo!
If you're looking for a home, apartment, or office space, Jones Properties provides residential and commercial properties in the heart of the Southeast that will fulfill any need. Plus, Jones Properties is one of the fastest growing firms in the area, which offers you more security. When you're ready for a home, apartment, or in need for commercial office space, it makes sense to call Jones Properties first at 472-4000. Plus, you can get additional information by logging on to the website at www.jonesproperties.biz. Jones Properties is also looking to invest in properties. So if you have a property that you need to sell, call the professional team at Jones Properties first. They'll help you find the perfect property for whatever your needs. Call today, 472-4000. And don't forget to keep up with Jones Properties on Facebook.
You're listening to Backfire with Steve Hickson on Whoop FM. Call 423-614-5553 to join in on the conversation. Now, back to Backfire.
I think it's ridiculous.
All right, we're back here live in the studio. And I mean, we're live. We've talked about several things now. We can probably talk about the, well, we can talk, there's anything we can talk about. I want to talk about the Secretary of Labor, Thomas Perez. You heard very much about him?
Yeah, it's not someone I would have appointed.
He's the union bosses are counting on Mr. Obama's bureaucracy to serve as organizing arm of the big labor. You know, this guy, he's a known union supporter.
Right.
And we're going to put somebody like this in as the head of the Secretary of Labor. Let's wake up, folks. I mean, my goodness, things are upside down enough in this country. Why are we putting people in a place to try to push something like this?
What do you mean upside down?
Well, how about 5 scandals going at one time?
Well,
let's talk about that. You want to talk about that?
What do you mean by this guy's upside
Well, why
down?
do we want to promote unionism in America again? It was something that was just dead, that was gone. Okay. It had something that was good at one time in life, but it's not needed now. So why do we continue to push this? And why do we let the bureaucracy of Mr. Obama pushes through his Chicago union thug relationship,
well, my question would be,
pushed to have this done? The union pushed him into the office. They supported him.
$300 million
They
expense.
used $300 million of their people's money to get this man elected. Now then, he's having to pay back favors, and we're going to put an ex-union thug in position to be the Secretary of Labor. That is crap. Wake up, America.
why? Explain to me why all of these corporations have made such profits in the last 10 years if all these policies have been so anti-business.
Because we have too much crony capitalism. The problem is not big government. The problem is big government in bed with big industry.
Let's keep going, though.
Your guy is the chief of it.
More and more wealth just keeps
Franklin,
flowing up, and you
he
say,
collected more
why
money.
shouldn't there be somebody there who's trying to look out for the little guy?
He collected more donations from Wall Street than John McCain. He collected more donations from Wall Street than Mitt Romney. He's been the king of donations on Wall Street, and he's paid them back. The bank bailouts, guess what? The banks should have gone broke. Now, would it have been disastrous? Probably so, but it would have been better than the trickle that we've gotten for the last 5 years in our economy. Sometimes people need to pay the price for bad judgment so you don't get more bad judgment.
So what you think is we would have been better off if we'd had a depression?
I know that Geithner is now saying that the banks that were too big to fail are still too big to fail, so he didn't fix anything. We spent hundreds of billions of dollars trying to supposedly fix this, and we are actually they're actually bigger now than they were then.
First of all, you and I would agree on that point.
Well, that's your guy that managed that.
But let's back up a minute. Are you really taking the position that our country would have been better off if we'd let the economy go completely in the tank?
Well,
Is
Franklin,
that what you're saying?
nobody knows that we would have gone completely in the tank.
Well, that's what everybody thinks.
I do think that we would have been better off to have let GM go under and let it be sold off to other competitors. I certainly think we would.
GM that has now had 3 consecutive profitable quarters.
Except for the fact, Franklin, that they're not paying their money back.
Wait a minute.
Oh, they are paying
No,
back.
they're not, Franklin.
3 consecutive profitable quarters. I tell you what, if General Motors is a profitable company, I want to buy the swampland in Florida. Okay.
Their stock, Franklin, has to be worth over $50 for the taxpayer to ever come out on that deal. It's down in the 20s. It has
No, it's not down in the 20s, John.
What is it, Franklin?
It's about $36.
It has to be over $50 for them to make money. And guess what, Franklin? They're not paying anything back. That first big payment that they made, the government gave them a pass on paying this huge tax bill. They used that money to claim they paid them back.
Common sense will tell you that will not work.
Plus, he bought the unions off in that.
Will never be successful.
He
never.
stole from the bondholders.
The way it's being run.
How's it being run now?
What changed after they went broke? What changed?
They shut down a whole bunch of underperforming plants.
Mm-hmm.
They rewrote a bunch of their labor agreements, which ought to make you happy.
It doesn't make me happy that they stole money from the bondholders and gave it to the UAW, which is what he did. And matter of fact, at this point, Steve, if you really want to talk about labor, another court has now ruled that his appointments to the National Labor Relations Boards were illegal. And so every decision that the National Labor Relations Board has made for the past, I think it's going on, year and a half now, is probably suspect and will probably be challenged in court. But the administration, even though I think this is the third court that has ruled that his appointments were illegal, refuses to replace those people on the board.
What you're talking about is the refusal of the Republican Party to allow up or down votes on his nominees.
Franklin, guess what? Your party did that when Bush was in. That's the way the system works. This guy doesn't think he ought to have to play by the rules. It has happened
at an unprecedented level.
That is not true,
since
Franklin.
President Obama took office.
That's not true.
It is absolutely true.
All right, we're going to get back to this subject, but I want to take a call. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, Mr. Hickson.
Good morning.
My name's Hickson, too.
Oh, well, that's good.
I've got one problem. Do you know how to tell when a politician is lying?
If his mouth's moving?
You got that right, brother.
All right.
And what we need to do with the government, all this federal land that they own, sell all of that, cut all them high-priced suckers down to about $40,000 a year.
The 7 of the 10 wealthiest counties in the country surround Washington, D.C., and they are populated by government employees.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, caller.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, getting back to, now for the first time ever, Mr. Obama's OSHA has advised union bosses that they, too, can observe these inspections even in a non-union workplace. You see, when the Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, conducts workplace inspections, workers may select one of their own to observe. Now then, for the first time ever, Obama's OSHA has advised union bosses that they too can observe these inspections even in non-union places.
Let's deal with that for
crazy.
a second. Why would a company that doesn't have a union in place, for whatever reason, maybe the vast majority of the workers have voted not to have a union, why should the union be allowed in a company they have no connection to watch a government inspection?
I know absolutely nothing about this.
Well, I'm asking you on principle. Do you think that sounds fair?
It sounds unusual, but I don't have any idea what he's talking about.
Well,
So I will try to find out.
He's talking about this administration buying off the unions.
that's right. In other words, over the last 4 years, the Obama administration has implemented one behind-the-scenes sweetheart deal after another to make it easier for union bosses to ensnare workers into forced union dues paying ranks. That's where it's going. Anyway, this Thomas Perez,
Well, here's one of the problems. Franklin makes the case that the mean old Republicans are blocking these nominations. There's another case to be made that perhaps the nominations are outside of the norm.
Yes.
Maybe the blame lies with the president and his nominations.
I'm sure you think that.
I do think that.
I'm going to look up some other information on Thomas
Let me give you-
Perez.
I'll give you-
Apparently, however, the American people did not when they returned him to office.
Those are the same people, Franklin, that know more about who the judges on American Idol are than the Supreme Court judges.
I know you would like
Jimmy Kimmel
the
went out and
president to be
asked
elected
people-
by, United States senators
I'd
again.
like
but,
one. I'd like the news media to actually give accurate information. I'd like them to give facts, not opinions. I'd like them to give all the facts. The only good thing about all these scandals is now that we found out that the Department of Justice has actually targeted the press, this latest one, Franklin, and I can't imagine you're not bothered by this. They went to a court to get a warrant to follow. This happened to be a Fox News reporter who had written a story that they were supposedly trying to find the leaker on. Well, the court turned them down, said that the reporter was doing his job and there was First Amendment rights, and I'm not going to give you that. So what they did is they turned around, went back to another court and said, we're naming the reporter as a possible co-conspirator. And that's how they got the warrant to tap his phone. They tapped his parents' phone at his parents' house.
Franklin, what would you do if that happened to you?
If what happened?
The government tapped your phone and tapped your records to try to get to the bottom of a case you might be handling or something.
Well, first of all, there are certain circumstances where they have in fact done that sort of thing. Look.
Are you comfortable with them? Are you comfortable with them?
Let me just talk about
naming a reporter as a co-conspirator in order to get a warrant?
I would have some questions about that.
Okay.
I would have some questions about that. Let me say, though, let's put this in context, because I think this is the way the American people would look at it. First of all, these are investigations over leaks of classified information. These are investigations that, I might add, that the Republican Party was calling for all through last year in saying that the administration had done a poor job of investigating these leaks and demanding that they do more. Now, we've got two separate issues going on here. One, you've got the AP story, which is
they've even
let's talk about it.
They've even pissed off the Democrats on this one.
But let's talk about it. Here are the facts.
But you do admit that there was a standard, and the standard was normally that they would go to the AP, tell them that they were going to do this, and basically say, hey, we're just letting you know, which they didn't do.
There's a statute involved, and the statute has an exception written into it. And they invoked the exception in this particular case. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, that's what happened. But here's the facts. Through hard work, our intelligence community had actually managed to get a person on the inside of Al-Qaeda. Pretty significant. A very important asset for us. When this story broke, we lost the ability to utilize that person's information.
You talking about the AP?
Yeah. And
when was the White House press conference on this?
Hold on a minute.
Scheduled?
Now, hold on. Saying that they had broken up a bomb plot is not the same thing as revealing that we had an inside person in Al-Qaeda. And that's the part of the story that's being investigated.
Now, this is the Fox News report?
No, this is the AP.
This is the AP.
Oh, the
This is the AP story. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think everybody would agree that that's a significant release of classified information.
Before you go for it, let me
the reporters didn't do anything wrong here. It's their constitutional right to try and seek that information.
Sure.
Okay? But it's the government's responsibility to try to find out who leaked it.
Well, let me add a little further context, though, Franklin. This administration, even though people like John Ashcroft were labeled as these crazy, dominating, individuals as Attorney General, this administration has prosecuted 3 times the number of leakers than all the previous administrations combined. And there's a real concern here. Like, for example, when Franklin says the Republicans wanted more of this looked into, we want to know who leaked the positive stories about the president, about the bin Laden kill. We haven't found any of those leakers out. The people they've prosecuted, they call them leakers. Other people call them whistleblowers. So there's a real problem here. Are they whistleblowers giving out information where the government's doing really bad things? Because we've already got the U.S. Attorney in Arizona has now admitted that he smeared the Fast and Furious leaker, and they covered it up. The Justice Department participated in covering it up. This guy smeared him, leaked information on him, lied to Congress about it. This is a U.S. Attorney appointed by Barack
Attorney
Obama.
Has come in and said that he lied to Congress?
Yes, he has.
He came before Congress and said, I lied to you.
No, he's admitted after the fact that he lied. You want to hear it? I'll be glad to read it to you. He said, now this is from Charles Grassley. Instead of examining the allegations that came forward, the Justice Department also immediately began the attack, the credibility and good name of a dedicated federal agent upset with what he was ordered to do. The IG report on Benghazi, this is a quote, admonished by Deputy Attorney General Cole for lying to him and had been put on notice that such discrepancies should not occur. That's what they said to the U.S. Attorney that lied. And then he retired, and he is now in a new partnership. Now, this is interesting. He's formed a security and lobbying firm with former Secret Service Director Mark Sullivan, Chicago White Sox and Chicago's Bull Chairman Jerry Reinsdorf, and this is great, Homeland Security Secretary Napolitano's Chief of Staff. That's his new partners. And this is a U.S. attorney that's about to be disbarred because he smeared the original whistleblower.
So you're reading a story where somebody says this person admitted they lied.
No, I'll read you.
Isn't that what you just quoted somebody? And by the way, you started off talking about Fast and Furious.
It is Fast and Furious.
You read it. You said Benghazi. You're mixing them up.
Franklin, this is the DOJ retaliated against the original whistleblower of Fast and Furious.
Is this story about Fast and Furious
yes,
or Benghazi?
Fast and Furious. My point is they're labeling, like the guy that came forward about Fast and Furious.
We got some
they're labeling him as a
Franklin.
leaker. He wasn't a leaker. He was a whistleblower because he was saying, look, the government's doing bad stuff.
So wait, in the same story, you're saying this person now is somehow in some sort of cozy business relationship.
He is now.
So did they smear him or are they rewarding him?
No, the guy that smeared him is in the business relationship. The whistleblower was smeared. He was there was information leaked about him. He was smeared. He was discredited by the Attorney General in Arizona to cover up the Fast and Furious scandal. My point is, you're talking about they're going after leakers. They went after this guy, labeling him a leaker, but he was actually a whistleblower.
Let's take a call. Go ahead, caller. You're live.
Good morning, guys. Steve, good to see you back.
All right, thanks.
This whole AP, all this, the IRS, this is about intimidation. This is about the government telling you that we can do whatever we want. We know who you are. We know what you are. If you speak out against us, we will retaliate against you with your own tax dollars. You know, that's what this is about. And, of course...
Well, it's definitely scary. It's really scary that anything like this could happen. I mean, all this stuff is scary. I mean, just having all these investigations going on to me at the same time just shows poor leadership, just bad judgment.
Well, it also shows you the fallacy in believing in big government.
And bad judgment, just bad judgment. Anyway, what's your question this morning?
Well, no question. I mean, but I guess more the fact, and one other thing, you were talking before about they've reached their debt ceiling. Did you guys see yesterday where Mr. Liu is going in and they are now raiding the retirement funds of the post office and federal employees? They are going to withdraw funds from there, and of course they'll give them some bonds or they'll give them some worthless IOUs like they did with Social Security. But now the federal government is going in and taking money out of the retirement funds to fund the budget until they hope that they have the debt ceiling increase.
Well, you brought something up that I'd kind of forgotten about. Why did the post office decide not to close on Saturdays? Does anybody know?
Because the public was upset.
Under pressure from the public. That's the answer. I mean, it's.
I mean, was there really that much pressure from the public, or was this
pretty much?
Was this something else? Kind of. I mean, let's just take our own poll right here. We got four people here. Do you have a problem not getting mail on Saturday?
No, but see, it's
all right. Do you have a problem getting mail on Saturday? Do you, Franklin, really?
No.
Okay.
No, but it's the same thing.
But I also didn't really have a problem with closing the post office down
Right.
here. But a lot of people do.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know where the people were upset and they were didn't want the post office closed, but I believe that's a bunch of hierarchy. I really just think that nobody really cares. I can't find anybody that really cares if the post office is open on Saturday or not.
Well, the people who do bulk mailings, for example, they were upset about it. They want to be able to keep doing that. That's important to them. I understand what you're saying.
Go ahead.
One more thing. Only the federal government would think that you could charge the same amount of money to mail a letter from Cleveland to Chattanooga as you could from Cleveland to Los Angeles.
Well, let's be clear that's not a decision of the Postal Service. The Postal Service isn't allowed to set their own rates. They have to get congressional approval.
No,
for
his
those
point
things.
is not the rate. His point is that anybody with any common sense in a business would say, if I have to drive it 30 miles versus 3,000 miles, I'm going to charge the guy that wants to send it 30 miles less than I would charge the guy sending it 3,000.
You and I agree completely about this.
But
John.
that's the problem with big government.
It's not the problem with government. It's a problem with the people.
No, Franklin.
We haven't insisted on that.
We can insist on it because government doesn't ever have to meet the bottom line, so they don't make those decisions. FedEx has to meet a bottom line, so they go, by God, if you want to send it 3,000 miles, you're going to pay more. Yeah. The government just goes, hey, we'll, in Obama's terms, the government says, we'll redistribute some of the money.
Let me ask you this question. Did we ever give the Postal Service the authority to make those kinds of decisions? The answer is no.
No, because guess
Never
what?
did.
Here's why, Franklin. Because
Who made the decision to stay open on Saturday?
No, wait a minute. Some good liberal politician
Congress
would have a constituent go, I got to send a letter to Los Angeles, and it's too expensive, and I can't afford it. I don't want to pay the actual cost. I want someone in Tennessee to subsidize my letter to Los Angeles. That's what government does.
All right. Thanks, caller.
Have a good day.
See you.
Hey, by the way, Senator Grassley has a pro-life group that was told by IRS agent that they would approve their tax-exempt status if they sent a letter to the IRS promising not to picket Planned Parenthood clinics. So that's what your IRS has devolved down to.
Let's take another call. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, Doughball.
Good morning. Who have I got?
Ella.
Oh, Ella.
Yeah.
All right.
I hadn't called in a long time.
Well, you hadn't called in here forever.
I know.
I guarantee you. All right, I know what your question is.
What?
You want more buses and more routes, right?
Right, because people are sitting on the floor and standing up, and they don't have no way to,
Are those buses crowded?
Yes.
They're getting crowded because there for a long time there was nobody on them.
And the green bus that goes by my house is the best route, and it's always full.
All right.
And Rosie Dunn is the best driver.
All right. All right, Ella. Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Anyway, Sertha. Isn't that Sertha? Is that her birthday? Sethra. You know, if you wanted to call them, how would you look that number up?
It's listed under Bradley County government, I think.
I don't know. I mean, I tried to find that number one day. I couldn't find it.
It's a regional agency that covers.
What's the other? Chatos or something?
Well, they're all part
of the same.
They're all part of the same, apparently.
But what does that one stand for?
I don't know.
Cleveland Urban Area Transportation.
But then there's also CAPS, which is Cleveland Area Paratransit System, which I have no idea what that means.
It looks like we could come up with something.
Handicapped.
Oh, well, I thought they were all handicapped.
I don't know.
I mean, it looks like they could come up with some better names like that. Like,
Well, it looks like a small town like Cleveland doesn't need 3 different bus systems. That's another problem with big government.
all right, let's take a call. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller. You're live.
Snowball, I have a question.
Lay it on me, Red.
Is there any president that you and John could elect that you would actually like?
Yeah, I had one, and I lost him, bless his heart. But right now, a president that I'd like, I think Corker makes a good president.
Oh, good God.
I thought Herman Cain would have made a good
Yeah,
president.
I think Herman Cain would have made a good president.
I think Obama's as good as anybody would be.
Well, that's all right. You know, we'll see. The history records will show what kind of president he is. Right now, he's got a lot of strikes, and he hasn't hit any home runs.
Yeah, but the ones striking against him is the Republicans.
But that doesn't mean they're wrong.
It sure doesn't mean they're right.
Well, Franklin, let me leave y'all with something.
Thanks, Red.
I was thinking about Franklin defending all these different. At some point you start to go, gosh, how many different mistakes and problems and miscommunications can one administration find? And I wondered whether you would continue to defend the administration. So let me just read you with a pretty famous quote. It's a poem. When the Nazis came for the communists, I remained silent. I was not a communist. When they locked up the Social Democrats, I remained silent. I was not a Social Democrat. When they came for the trade unionists, I did not speak up because I was not a trade unionist. When they came for me, there was no one left to speak out.
Well, John, I just want you to know that I'll spend my last drop of blood making sure they don't come for you.
I'll be gone with this administration. I'll be gone before they come for you. The lesson's for you, Franklin.
All right, I've got one last question real quick before we go off the air. Is Hillary Clinton in trouble?
She should be. Whether she is or not will depend on how much water the media totes for her.
What's your opinion, Franklin?
At this point, no, she's not in trouble.
All right, that's all I've got to say for today. We'll see about old Hillary.
And if you're worried about people dying, what
You've been
difference does
listening
it
to
make?
Backfire
Bye-bye
with
now.
Steve Hickson, John Stanberry, and Franklin Chansey. Catch them again on Whoop FM at noon today and every Wednesday morning from 7:30 to 8:30. Now, back to more music on Whoop FM.
So anyway, I flew here from Flagstaff because my manager doesn't own a Globe. I flew here on a plane that big, like a pack of gum with 8 people in it, just... We took off from the Flagstaff Airport Hair Care and Tire Center there. We're traveling at half the speed of smell. We got passed by a kite. There was a goose behind us and the pilot was going, "Go around." We get halfway to Phoenix, we gotta go back. It's a 9-minute flight. Can't pull it off with this equipment. We had some engine trouble. We lost some oil pressure in one of the engines, and they told us about it over the speaker system of the plane, which was stupid because they could have just went, "Hey, we lost some oil pressure." Heard ya. It was weird. Everybody on the plane was nervous, but I'd been drinking since lunch, and I was like, "Take it down, I don't care." You ever had one of those days? It's something hard. I don't want to limp away from this wreck. The guy sitting next to me is losing his mind. Apparently, he had a lot to live for. He goes, "Hey man, hey man, if one of these engines fails, how far will the other one take us?" "All the way to the